All right, if you're building anything with machine learning, you definitely know this feeling. You need to pick your tools, and bam, you're suddenly dropped into this dense jungle of vendors, open source projects, and just so much marketing hype. So today, let's cut a path right through that chaos. You know, the root of the problem is right here. The MLOps landscape is just ridiculously fragmented. We're talking hundreds of tools, all claiming to be the next big thing. And for teams on the ground, that's overwhelming. It's so easy to waste weeks, even months, just trying to figure out what you even need. So that brings us to the big question, right? How do you actually build an MLOps stack that works for you? How do you cut through all that noise and avoid those really costly mistakes, like picking a tool just because it's trendy, or even worse, building out some super complex system you don't even need yet? Well, to get through any jungle, the first thing you need is a map. And for us, that map is an absolutely fantastic GitHub repository called awesome-mlops. Think of it as a comprehensive guide that charts the entire MLOps territory, so you can finally see the whole landscape in one place. And just look at how thorough this map is. The list breaks the entire space down into about 25 different categories. You've got everything from data catalogs and feature stores to model serving and drift detection. This is huge because it helps you avoid that classic trap of, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing we needed to think about. And listen, this isn't just some random list someone threw together. We're talking over 5,000 GitHub stars. Now, that number is more than just a vanity metric. It's a massive signal from the community. It means thousands of other engineers have found this resource incredibly valuable. It's got serious credibility. Okay, this right here, this is probably the single most important piece of advice in this entire explainer. You have to shift your mindset. Don't look at this list as a shopping catalog for shiny new tools. Instead, you need to use it as a checklist to systematically audit what you're already doing and, more importantly, what you might be missing. So a map tells you what's out there, right? But it doesn't tell you where to go. For that, you need a compass. And our compass for navigating this MLOps map is a really simple but really powerful 3-question audit. Let me show you how it works. Here it is. It's brilliant. For every single one of those 25 categories on the awesome MLOps list, you and your team just ask these 3 questions. 1. Do we have this covered? And if not, do we actually need to cover it right now? 2. Is the tool we're using the right fit for our scale today? Not for Google's scale, for our scale. And 3, wait a minute, are we using and maybe even paying for 3 different tools that basically do the same job? This process brings so much clarity so fast. And what you realize is that the whole point of this exercise isn't to collect the trendiest tools. The goal is to build what we call a defensible stack. That means every single tool in your workflow has a clear purpose, it solves a real problem you have, and it can justify its own existence. No fluff. Okay, so we've got our map, we've got our compass, let's start moving. You don't have to solve for all 25 categories on day 1. That would be insane. Instead, let's focus on the absolute essentials, the things every production machine learning system really has to get right from the get-go. These are your big 5. First, you absolutely have to track your experiments. It's non-negotiable. Second, you must validate your data because models can fail silently when data changes. Third, you need a solid way to actually serve your models to users. Fourth, you need to automate that whole process of getting a model into production. And number 5, feature stores. You only tackle that one when you have the very specific pain point it's designed to solve. Don't start there. So let's zoom in on number 1, the model lifecycle. At its core, this is really about experiment tracking. I mean, if you're not logging your parameters, your code versions, your data versions, and your metrics for every single model run, you're basically flying blind. The open source standard here, and an amazing place to start, is MLflow. And it's really not hard to see why MLflow is the default choice. With over 24,000 GitHub stars and an incredible 30 million downloads a month, it has a massive, thriving community. This thing is battle-tested, it integrates with pretty much everything, and it's built to grow with you. Okay, next up, data validation. This is so critical. Your model's performance is completely changed to the quality of the data it sees in production. If that data starts to look different from what you trained it on, that's a problem we call drift. Your model's performance will quietly degrade and you might not even notice. A fantastic open source tool for catching this is Evidently AI. And again, we look for that community signal. With over 35 million downloads and a strong community of thousands of users, Evidently has clearly proven itself. It's a trusted tool for monitoring your models and catching those silent data issues before they turn into real business problems. Now, this table is a super helpful starting point. Think of it as a cheat sheet. These are not a definitive list of the best tools for everyone, but they are all very high signal choices. They have strong communities, solid documentation, and are excellent starting points for your own research in each of these critical areas. So let's put it all together. We've got our map, the awesome-mlops list, we've got our compass, that 3-question audit, and we have some high signal starting points from that table we just looked at. So what does a minimal, sensible, totally defensible MLOps stack look like for a team that's just getting started? Well, here it is. This is a great example of a minimal viable MLOps stack. You've got ML Flow for tracking experiments, DVC for versioning your data, a pipeline orchestrator like Prefect or Airflow, a simple, robust serving setup using FastAPI and Docker, and finally, monitoring with the open source version of Evidently. This right here is a rock-solid foundation to build on. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important takeaway. Start with a minimal, simple stack just like the one we saw. Seriously, do not add a feature store or a complex CI/CD pipeline or any other specialized tool until you actually feel the pain that tool is designed to solve. Let need, not hype, guide how your stack evolves. So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with one final question to think about for your own work. Forget all the hype, forget the marketing, forget what other companies are doing. Looking at your workflow right now, what is the single biggest pain point, the number one bottleneck that your stack needs to solve? Start there. That's how you build a stack that actually works.